So on this channel, we've showed you a lot of advanced macro editing and writing and how to do that correctly. Today, we're going to look at something a little bit more basic, but I'm going to show you a tip that this can be used for, especially when you are an advanced macro writer and you do need to do something different. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, just real short, how to record a macro. So in the developer tab, so let's start with the home tab. You can click on the developer tab. You've got this button here called record macro. So if I'm going to record a macro, I can call it what I want. So let's call it macro test 1. And we're going to hit OK. We're not going to add that to a shortcut key. Now, what I want this macro to do is just delete everything in column I. And then I just want to, obviously this is not a realistic macro, but I just want this to add numbers down to the first 10. And then that's all I want it to do. So I could have it go to the bottom, but I'm going to show you a couple things here. So let's stop the macro. So when we look at the macros, let's go up and let's edit that one that we just had. So there's a number of things that you'll see here with macros. So first of all, it is doing this. Let's just resize this window so that we can see the whole thing. So it is doing this on the active sheet that you have, which is okay if you want to be able to run this macro on any sheet, and you can write your code to do the same. But most of the time, when you have code, like if we go and look at this code here, we want something very specific. So here we've got in this workbook, not other workbooks that might be open, on this sheet called tips, in this cell, we want to do whatever it is. In a macro, it kind of makes that agnostic, right? So it's just going to do it on the live sheet that it's on. In this case, what it's done is it's literally copied what you did, which was to select column I and then to delete it. Now, if we were writing this in a way that was better, we would write it something like this. So actually, let me leave what was there so we can see. Sorry. So let's leave what was there. So we would write this like this. We would take the selection out, because in a macro, it doesn't need to actually physically select things, right? So we would do this workbook dot sheets. And again, maybe you do want to be able to run this on any sheet available, but we've got sample data dot columns, column I, and we want to clear the contents. There is no need for a macro to actually do physically something like go into the cell to put a value. You can just put a cell in a value without the actual mouse moving or without the actual cell being selected. But in a macro, since you selected that cell, it's doing that first, and then it's putting in the value that you want. And it's doing it over and over again. Again, bad example, we would write code just to loop through, etc. But I just wanted to use that as an example. The other thing with macros is it does everything you do. So let's just re-record another macro here. And let's say you entered your first 10 numbers. Okay, let's do 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, and you're like, okay, I think that's good. Yeah, that's all I need to go to. I don't think I need to go anywhere else. You hit stop, go to the macros, go to edit, it's macro 4, and you will see it actually scrolled down because I scrolled down, which isn't part of what we really need. It just happens to be that I just wanted to make sure there was no data down below. Just visually, while recording this macro, it's now done the same thing. So it's actually going to do that, and if I run this code, it may run very quickly, too quickly to see, but it actually is scrolling down the window. So, and it's not going to do it now because this is the active window. That's the other thing with this, is when you're using active window, which is how a macro records everything, I can't step through this code because this is now the active window, when really we want it to run on this. So active window is a terrible thing to use. So those are some of the challenges with using this. However, there are sometimes reasons why you might want to do this. So let's say I've got code written, it's pretty good, but I want to replace word mail here. That's uncapitalized with capitalized mail. Now, I want to put that in my code, so every time I get this new data in, if mail is not capitalized, it goes in and does that for me. Now, I could loop through row by row and say if equals mail, replace with mail. But what I want to do is I want to replace everything in this sheet. There's code that you can write to do that. But it's not super simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the record feature on a macro. And we're going to go Control F. And we're going to go mail. And we're going to go replace mail. And then we're going to do some options. And we're going to do match case. And we're going to do within the whole sheet. And let's do match entire contents as well. And then I'm going to do replace all. Okay, so that worked. You can see that got updated and that's now capitalized. So that's great. Let's stop the macro. Go to macros. Go into macro 5 and edit that. So this, let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. This code that it's written is pretty good. All I would need to do again is change this to this. So let's steal this from up here. And now I can use this code as it's written. You'll see that this code has line breaks in it. That just makes it easier to read on one place. But it added everything I need here. I've got the, am I replacing format? How am I searching it? Am I doing it in the whole thing, which we selected? Sorry, go back over. What am I replacing? This code, not that it's difficult to write, but, sometimes you can be like, wait, what is it to replace the whole thing? I've now recorded it, touched it up a little bit, and now I have this code there ready to go and put this in to my real well-written code. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Please also share. Please go ahead and check out my other videos on my page. Have a great day.